TK, thanks for jumping on the potty, man. I really appreciate it. Mate, we're just talking off air, 12-year rugby career professionally. You played for the New Zealand under-19s, under-20s, Super Rugby with the Hurricanes and the Blues. Won a top 14 title in France. Any of the true diehard rugby fans will know how illustrious that shield is to win. We're sitting here in your gym, the Hiit crew, here in St. John's, Auckland, and currently in the process of trying to seek ownership in the supermarket space. Dude, I just asked you a question. Take me back to your last professional rugby game and you can't remember.
My last season was with Auckland in the Mitre 10, 2019. Going back to that whole process, I had actually started and opened the gym in that same year. I think it was April, May. And I sort of, vividly remember my actually last club game, which was for varsity. We were playing White Matter, and I got KO'd in the jaw and ended up breaking my jaw. And it was really funny because I think this was like March. That during that period, it actually allowed me to like have like a window to not be training, and it actually gave me 3 to 4 weeks to find the space that we are sitting in right now for the gym, to order gear and actually start setting it up. So it's quite funny. I don't remember my last professional game, but I remember my last club game because it just all aligned with my transition, which I was working towards of starting my own gym.
So you knew the transition was coming and you were planning towards it.
I think the season before that, some injuries had come back. Like when I was in France, I had a bulge disc in my neck. It shut down my whole right side of my arm, my shoulder. I couldn't even lift 1 kg. And it put me out for 6 months of just having no feeling in my whole right side. And yeah, so that started over there. That was in my 4th season in France in top 14. From that moment, I actually struggled to get another top 14 team because they didn't want to take me on. So I ended up playing in the second div. Anyway, that recovery process was sweet. Come back, and then moved back home. And yeah, I think it was that 2018 season with Auckland and the Blues. It sort of started to come back, and I remember getting 2 cortisones and seeing if we could speed it up. So I needed to play. It's like when you're professional, you have to be on the field, otherwise, you can't put your best foot forward to. Even for your future of contracts and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I guess that brought me to the realization that we're close to life after rugby. And man, for me, it was something that I'd always thought about and always knew that rugby wasn't forever. So, and it's quite funny, when I was in France, I'd already set a goal that I wanted to own a gym after rugby.
Wow, bro.
So it was when I was playing, it was a goal after rugby anyway. I just realized in 2018 that, man, this is really close now. And so I started preparing for it a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember when I set that goal when I was in France. So, man, it was probably 5-6 years before that moment. I didn't know what kind of gym I wanted to own. I just remember being, man, I want to be a gym owner.
Yeah, cool.
That's quite funny. And then fast forward to that 2018, come back to after rugby, or man, we're getting close. Maybe this is the time to do the gym. I was like, and what kind of gym? And I remember having a good look out at the market. I remember seeing, I think F45 was blowing up at the time.
That was huge.
I kind of really looked into their model. I looked into even buying into that model because I thought, man, it'd be really good to take on something that's already got its processes, and you buy a brand that's already taken off. And yeah, I went and did all their classes, and there were lots of things I was like, okay, yeah, this is really good. But then there was things I was like, I think I could maybe change this and do this better, or man, if I had more weights so they had a higher, I know they could grow a bit more growth. Yeah, and I remember meeting with people too, like meeting with friends who some advice was, and if you did your own gym, it'll be way harder, but way more rewarding versus taking on, a franchise. So, and you also have that freedom to do what you want. So by the end of that year, I'd made up my mind that I'm going to start my own gym. And so 2019 was when I was going to do it.
And you knew starting the gym meant giving up rugby, or were you kind of thinking, I'll do this at the same time?
So I never really announced retirement because I thought, okay, well, you're still young. Like I was 29, I think at the time, turning 30. Maybe I didn't go out the way that I probably wanted to, but at the same time, I was like, this whole nother world or next chapter is like just real exciting.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, in that 2019 season, so I was still contracted to Auckland, and I actually started like looking for a gym space, pricing up like how much the equipment would be, like started like nutting down my like programs I'm going to run, what I need.
Bit of a business plan.
Yeah, whilst playing. And then as we go back to that club game, that window, the injury window.
That was the window of opportunity.
And it was kind of like the alignment of moving into that next transition for me.
That's cool, man. You mentioned that you were actually excited. A couple of things you touched on. So like, I wonder if people listening would understand that feeling you have as a footy player, or probably any athlete, when you're contract to contract, and then let's say you're injured, and there's that feeling of like this ticking clock. Like you got to get back on the field, right? Can you explain a little bit like what that feels like?
Oh man, I can. And there were lots of like injuries and niggles. So, oh man, you just feel like you're ticking time bomb, man. You're just a race against time.
Yeah.
And me sitting on the sideline is giving someone else an opportunity, and like it's probably something selfish to say, but you want to be putting your best foot forward all the time, and man, those injuries just, you think kind of just stops around you, and like just for you, but everyone else is still able to do their thing. So it's a weird space, or like,
yeah, I described it to my wife once. I said it's like anguish.
Can't do nothing, right? You're helpless almost.
And it's not that you don't want others to succeed or anything like that. It's just that in that environment, it's so highly competitive. And you're so used to competing every single day at your work. Like not a lot of people go and compete against their peers every single day that intensely at work, So when you're sitting there on the sideline nursing a calf or a hammy or whatever it is, you just have this feeling of anguish. You just want to be out there. So, but something that you said really cool was that you were excited about the next chapter, and ultimately that drew you away. Were your family excited too?
I think I say excited, but I think at the same time I was scared.
Yeah.
Rugby was always able to provide me like a steady income. Starting your own business mean that I kind of had to invest a lot of what I'd saved from France, and it almost all went into business, into this business. So
there's a lot of risk there, right?
Exactly. Bro, there was a big risk. There was times where I was like, holy shit, I'm just spending 100K on equipment. I'm like, money for other, investments in the business.
So it was your savings, eh?
We come back from France, we invested in a house, and then it was like, we'll put the rest in the business. And business it's an investment, right? Brings you income, and because you're the owner, the income can be higher than say working for someone.
Yeah. It's not money wasted, it's invested.
Yeah, exactly. If it goes well, you get it back.
I do think there's probably plenty of ex-athletes sitting there listening thinking, good on you, bro. Like, because that's a lot of risk as well. It takes a lot of balls to sink the career savings from 12 years into a gym, So give yourself credit for that as well. You mentioned quite a bit about like the model, your business plan. So you started playing professionally at 18. Where did your knowledge of business come from? Did you do a degree or a diploma? Or?
When I finished my last year of high school, I did go down to Wellington to study business management. I always actually had a passion for business. I like being a first five and directing things, so I wanted to be like a business owner. My personality, I like to be in charge. Business was something that I knew I wanted to do after rugby. And yeah, so then my business management degree actually, it only lasted one semester. Like in that same year, I made the New Zealand under-19s, which like was a World Cup. We were away for 4 weeks and then come back and went straight into the Wellington Lions, and rugby kind of took off real fast. And so like I was down to do 3 papers and had to cut back to 1. Rugby was really like taking off, and I was getting paid at the same time. So I thought, man, we'll go all in on that, and I'll come back to the business management degree. Didn't come back, but still went into business.
You learn a few things.
Bypassed it. Yeah.
In New Zealand, there's a lot of PD in rugby, personal development. Like there's a lot of sessions as well, eh? Like, so once a week, you'll probably have an opportunity to sit down and learn a little bit about business or finance or owning a home or how to run your family, things like that. Was there much of that in France, out of interest?
It wasn't, Yeah, my time with all of the teams I was with in New Zealand, Wellington, Hawke's Bay, the Hurricanes, Blues, they pushed it. And I remember really wanting to learn and get as much out of those as I could, because I always just knew that rugby wasn't forever.
Yeah.
And my parents kind of pushed it on me as well, of like, make sure you got a backup. I know when you're in it, like it feels like it's everything. But when you're out of it, it's a small window, smaller window than you think.
Yeah.
This next chapter, like the second chapter after my rugby with the business and that, I loved it almost more than I thought. And in comparison to rugby, like when I was playing rugby, man, that was just traveling the world, playing alongside All Blacks, and it was
Special.
I didn't think that this business side would reach the heights, but actually for me, man, it has.
Just as much as a thrill.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. So you transitioned straight into the Hiit crew, which is this pumping gym. Right, I walked in here, I was like, there's so much equipment. Talk to me a little bit, what you can share about the startup cost. So you sign up to a lease, for example. What was your lease that you're signing up to like?
Like obviously you pay a bond. I think it was 3 months of around 18K, and then like looking back, made a lot of mistakes of like how I launched the Hiit crew.
Okay.
And like part of that was because I didn't know what I was doing. Part of that because I literally just dove in and was like, I'm gonna make this work. But even like a year into, I was like, man, I did that so wrong. Like I started seeing after I did my launch what other gyms do, and like they do like a 2 to 3 month like sending out membership options and like just promoting their gym, and I think I did it in like 10 days.
Okay, so the first few months were a bit scary.
Yeah, and man, we opened on a street also that has like 7 other gyms, and actually one of my mates, he owned F45. You might have played with Mark Royal, maybe with Harbour. Yeah, Owen Counties. Yeah. He owned the F45 just down from me, and yeah, and I remember like telling him, bro, I got this this space on the same road as you, and yeah, he like, although there's lots of competition around, there's also a market for it. But initially, like, that was a bit scary.
Yeah.
But the space was so good that I couldn't kind of say no. Like,
yeah. When did it start making money, or like when did it start breaking even?
9 to 12 months. I remember the start of it. It was hard. Like, you do start thinking, shit, like, is this gonna work? No, fuck, have I done the right thing?
Yeah.
So I believed in it, and like did see that it was gradually word of mouth was bringing in like one person would come, they'd bring their mate, and the people who were coming here were like, man, this is actually really cool, and like I felt we were quite well priced as well in the market. We'll leave our 45 and come for a cheaper and maybe better gym or experience, and it's like I was struggling because I wasn't breaking even, but at the same time I could still see that like it was growing and growing. We went from 25 to 40 to 60, 90. Yeah, and then we kind of, like we got to that 100 membership mark and we were like breaking even. And then all of a sudden, man, like I remember like that 9 or 12 month period, it just like took off. And then it's like everyone had come, it also brought a mate each, and it just almost nearly doubled, eh? It was, yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say that the first year of business will be the hardest you've ever worked and the least amount of money you've ever made.
Exactly right.
That's the proof in the pudding right there.
Like, and there were times we got like an upstairs area and we'd like leave a mattress there, and like I was sleeping there, so I'm like just sleep there at night, and then obviously get up and coach in the morning. And when you start it, you're trying to minimize the costs, or I was at the time. So I was doing a lot of the coaching and pretty much, bro, exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it was.
What year are you in now? It's like year 7?
This is year 7, eh?
That's awesome, man. Riding off into the sunset. Man, I do know a little bit about gyms because I worked in one for like 4 months. It's really hard work. You give out a lot of energy to people, especially when you're training them. Leads me to my next question, which is, what do you feel you use these days that you learned through rugby or through your sport?
I learned a lot of discipline. And as I said earlier, I was the first 5, so like I had to direct and like plan ahead and then like get everyone on the same page, trying to get your trainers to do things a certain way and all be in the same sort of vision. And there's so much carryover from sport to, the competitiveness. You're trying to be the best, and there's lots of like room for everyone in business. Trying to make the team, there's only one spot or one starting spot.
True.
Whereas like in business, man, there's room for my gym here, another gym across the road, another, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you are competing a little bit, but like I say, there's room for everyone to eat, kind of, like.
It's a feast, not a famine. I think as well, definitely some resilience in there, like just the hard work that's involved, right?
Definitely, yeah, exactly.
You learn so much in different pre-seasons. I always think of pre-season, different army camps or whatever they had you running that pre-season. Like when you're tired, you're not actually at your limit. There's so much more you can give.
Yeah, oh man, definitely all of that stuff as well. And I remember when I wanted to set up a gym, I was like, man, when I was in France, they had ski ergs, and ski ergs weren't really a big thing in New Zealand. I was like, man, I'd love to have them in my gym, like something different at the time.
Where do you reckon you were sitting or standing or thinking in France when you wrote down the goal to own a gym? Was that like a yearly goal-setting scenario for you?
Like I would always, it would be, what's my goals for this year? What's my 5-year? And then like, I'd even have a 10-year. I remember I wanted like a clothing brand as well when I was in France. And so I was trying to design, it was actually quite funny. William Wetton, do you know William Wetton? You may have played alongside Will. I remember me and him were like, we maybe had a vino, a red wine in France, because he was at the same team as me. It's like, bro, I want to do this design for this brand that I want to have one day. And we were doing an hourglass. It was so funny that like, and then when it comes to the time to do the Hiit crew, and like I was trying to put the design that suited Hiit or whatever, it's like, fuck the hourglass, like, and it all like, it was quite, I just remember some buzzy things that like were always floating in the background, like that when I went for what I wanted to do, then they come out, they're aligned. I remember lots of things like that. And so I ended up getting my gym, and then when we do like clothing and stuff, like that's kind of, I always see that as, oh yeah, I got my clothing brand with the gym.
The merch goes pretty well?
Yeah, man, it's cool. We've teamed up with Paladin and LSKD and.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but going back to the goal setting stuff, man, I liked having like something to aim towards or feel like I'm working towards something.
I think it's a beautiful thing about sport is you chat to any athlete, they've got a dream or they've got a goal or something they're working towards. And I've realized not everyone in the world has that. A lot of people keen to go to work, clock in, clock out, chill, just want something cruisy.
Oh, you're right, man. You are like, there's more and more people probably like that than you would think.
A lot of athletes, especially footy players, we fall off a cliff with our body when we finish playing. When I finished playing, I went to Europe, and I ran around at 105 kgs. I came back from Europe at about 112, 113, and I couldn't get it off at first. I was like, what the heck? Because I'm not running around all day, and I had to quickly change my diet and things like that. But I noticed you've been doing a couple of CrossFit events. Obviously, you run the gym, and people might listen and go, "It's easy to stay in shape when you're running the gym," but I'm pretty sure, like, if you're sleeping on the mattress upstairs, you got 2 kids, a wife, a business to run. How do you squeeze it all in?
You have to make time for yourself.
When are you training? Like early morning, late at night?
And sometimes it is late at night. Like, there were times I was like, man, I can't train until 9:30 or 10 once no one's even here. Or, like, ideally when I can, I try and, we run open gyms in the during the day, and it's usually like the class, and so I love to try and fit it in there. So kind of I'm with people as well who are also doing the open gym, which is like 4:20 or 7:10, and those are usually like either before or after classes. So man, when I don't train, I feel shit, and like it's as much as I love training to try and look good, it is definitely for me more for the mental health. Like, it just releases my stress, and I think I'm better for my wife and my kids, and everyone gets a better version of me. Even like, I feel like coaching, my energy level is totally different once I've done the workout during the day.
And I work for a commercial painting business, which you would think, how stressful could that be? But I've explained this to my wife. I'm like, man, I don't care if it's 11 o'clock at night. I just got to go and move. Yeah. Because 100% it releases stress.
Yeah.
Clears my mind. My training looks so different now to when I was playing footy. I don't know about you, bro, but all the injuries now have me doing a whole bunch of mobility, stretching. I hardly lift any heavy weights, straight up.
Yeah.
Just because it's a little bit depressing at first. You're like, man, I used to squat 180 kgs. Like, I'm happy to do my 24 kg kettlebell, so.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. And I think for me, once I finished playing, I went into some of the things like heaps of mobility. My body actually got better. like a year after having the gym, part of me was like, maybe I should go back and play. Like, my mobility was better and body was functioning better. But at the same time, it had just had a good year off of no contact and not getting smashed. And
so, man, it leads you to your next chapter, I suppose, if you can call it that. Seeking ownership in the supermarket space. How does the man go from running a gym to stacking shelves, bro? How did it come about?
Man, again, I think all of my stuff goes back to something that happened, and it was another time where I was thinking about what are we doing after rugby. Actually, I think I was playing with Hawke's Bay at the time, and I remember heaps of the older boys talking about a few of the rugby boys who then owned supermarkets.
Yeah.
That was like my first light bulb. Like, I knew I wanted to be in business after footy at some whatever capacity. That was like the initial spark of, man, what is that? Like, the more I started thinking about supermarkets, I was like, okay, that's like an essential need. Everyone needs stuff that's sold in the supermarket, from food to toiletries. And so from that point of view, I was like, it should do well, it should be steady. There's like, you see lots of businesses, have their highs and lows, but it's so. I remember that's how I originally looked at it. And then I seen Eric Rush. He was a real big inspiration. Seeing his journey and like gave him being able to help teams and look after them. And that's how it started.
I love Rush's story. I know a little bit because he coached us sevens at North Harbour, but he owns New World Whangarei.
Yeah, nah, he's at New Whangarei now. Yeah.
He's explained a little bit in storytelling just how hard it is. You know, they don't let anyone just turn up and buy a supermarket. It doesn't matter how much money you got, right? So, bro, what happened with you? Did you call up Foodstuffs one day? You wait on the 0800 number? Can I talk to someone?
Pretty much. Fast forward to me finishing rugby. I do remember then, I was like, going back to my goal setting, like I wrote a 10-year goal, okay, after this gym, I want to own a supermarket. So before I even started the gym, it was something that I had set. I think it was 2023. I just started to feel, okay, the supermarket thing maybe it's getting a bit closer. It was almost like that retiring from rugby, almost. It was like that whole...
Feeling again.
A little bit. I remember looking into how you get into the supermarkets, and there was a thing online on the Foodstuffs, like sending in an application. And so, like an own application. So I sent in my CV along with all of like whatever I needed to answer. And this is something that Foodstuffs run like either once or twice a year. So they run their course, they take all the applications, then they get a group of people who they believe ready and fit to go into the ownership program. 2023, I didn't go into the ownership program. But anyway, so I'd sent in all my stuff and then 2024, like at the start of the year, I chased them up. I go, hey, like what happened, whatever. And they just sent me an email back saying, hey mate, you have no experience. Like yes, you own a business, but you need like at least 12 months inside a supermarket. 2024, I again set some goals. Okay, this year I'm gonna like figure out a bit more and try and obviously get some work, but I'm gonna meet owners. I'm gonna go a little bit more all in on it. Man, really cool story. I actually hit up, I think it was DJ Forbes. I go, bro, do you have Rushy's number? And he's like, oh, I have to ask Rushy first if I can give his number out. And he ended up getting his number for me and sent him a message. And so, man, I went out and like started meeting owners. Rushy was one of those people that I met. So, and for me, like him being the inspiration from, even wanting to do this, it was so cool that he gave me his time.
Yeah.
And he just shared me his journey. He goes, bro, just go into a store and ask if you can work for free. That's what he told me. And like, I guess that was like an old school way. I remember I did that. And this guy goes, mate, you can't do that. Like, we don't do that anymore. You have to. And then he said, yeah. He said, look, you need to ring Foodstuffs and tell them that you're interested in being on the ownership program and like, what do they recommend that you do? And alongside meeting Rushy, man, I met Stacey, who's the Foursquare owner of St. Helier's, who's actually my current boss. I'm working there at the moment. Nick Liu, who's the owner of Alizé, who I've worked for as well. Onehunga owner, Alex Cage Brown. And they've met, like, I actually started networking and just getting everyone's perspective of how they did it. Everyone's journey is different, I feel, in the supermarket sector. And yeah, everyone at the same time told me that it's really hard to get into. Like you were saying earlier, like, man, you can have as much money as you want, but Foodstuffs want the right people. From the business model side of things, man, I think that's the right way to do it. I eventually got a job in Alizé, Foursquare, and in my first 2 weeks just involved like everything from the bottom, like stacking shelves. And at the same time, man, I'm still stacking shelves now. Like all owners in Foursquares that's like everyone does everything.
It's amazing. So, I remember one of Rushy's funny stories he told us. He was stacking shelves and a father and son walked past. He must tell you this one. Yeah. And they're like, he's like, hey, that's Eric Rushy used to be a great All Black. And the son goes, why is he stacking shelves, Dad? And he goes, remember what I told you about education? That's too good.
Bro, and like even, I remember when I first started too, like doing all that, I was like, you're like, man, am I really doing this? Like you're a little bit. But I guess pretty quickly, like, okay, there's a bigger picture to this and this is part of the process. And you learn from the bottom, everything that everyone does who comes, starts. So as much as, I actually really love the process.
It's amazing, bro. You go from, I can only imagine winning the top 14 in France, walking in front of the huge crowds of fans and playing in front of the huge crowds of fans and stacking shelves at the Foursquare, you know? Like, crazy. Crazy. It shows a huge amount of humility.
Man, that's something that's part of retiring as well. Like, whatever you're doing, like, you gotta be open to starting again. And I think that's like scary. It's so scary that you're like, oh man, should I? I don't want to. But soon you just got to jump at it, I think. And man, once you jump at it, then things start aligning with whatever you're trying to do. Start from zero, and man, day by day, it just starts, you're learning and you're growing. And
That's a bit of gold right there, man. Something you do well, I've noticed. Before you started your gym, you went and met a lot of people, asked a lot of questions. Before you've done this food stuffs journey, you seeked out. That wasn't easy. There was a couple of hurdles there, but you seeked out people and asked questions and learned from their story. Like, where does that come from?
gotta learn off the people who have done it, or they're the ones who have the answers. And they're also going to give you information where you're like, oh, nah, maybe I don't want to do that. Say I was trying to teach myself how to play tennis. I remember back at school, and so I just watched Roger Federer, right? Like just little things like this that align with the way I am, why I do this stuff. And I'll be like, okay, I want my backhand like his, and so like one-handed backhand. I see other people do double. I'm like, okay, but Roger Federer is the best, so that's how I want my backhand to be. So I think I would always model off someone who I thought was successful, or someone who I wanted to be like, someone who's done it, who can help you get to where you want to be, Like,
If you are listening and you're like, oh man, I have a passion, I have an idea, I have a passion, I have a business idea, or I could see myself doing this and enjoying it, but I've got no idea how to even creak open the door, There's your first step. Hey, seek out someone who's doing it.
exactly. And I remember when I said to Food Stuffs, I rang them up and said, hey, I'm looking for a job, blah, blah, blah. Like, how do I get into ownership? The first thing that lady said to me, she goes, oh, well, look, you need to go meet owners. Like, this is what you should do before even working in it. See what they say. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've already done that. She goes, oh, yeah, okay. But yeah, you're like, I think that is a nugget, whatever you're trying to do.
So these days you're working at a supermarket, you're running a gym, you're a father of two, family man. What does the average day look like now? I'm sure they're all a little bit different, but what's a full-on day for Dan?
It's been tough, I'm going to be honest. Trying to be two places at once, coaching up early, 4:30, 4:45, coaching our 5:15, our 6:15 class at the gym. Usually there's an open gym at 7:15, which that just starts and people run it. So I got a little window there, go home, get my daughter ready, breakfast, etc., and then come back to the gym, coach to 9:30, and then I start work at the supermarket. I was starting, like, say 12 o'clock. So I'd quickly either try and get a train in, because I know that it's real funny. I find like when you're real busy, I find that training gives me more energy. And I know that if I miss that window, then I'm like, man, I'm going to have to either do it real late or I'm not going to train. And so I try and either sneak it then or say if I wasn't coaching 9:30, then I'll try and jump in like with the class. But I try and get my training in before I go to work at the supermarket. And then so supermarket, 12 till 9. Yeah. At St. Heliers, our summer hours, they go a little bit longer. So closed later, so 12 till 9. By the time I'm getting home, it's like 9:30ish.
Say hello to the wife. How are you? Passing ships in the harbour? That's crazy, man. 9:30. And you got to get to bed because you're up at 4:45. That's a brutal schedule, though, regardless.
It has been, and it's...
So you got to keep your eyes on the goal. And so, like, let's say we're sitting down in 5 years from now. You don't need to tell us everything, but what's kind of the goal? What's keeping you motivated?
In 5 years, I want to own a supermarket.
Yeah.
I want to own a Foursquare. Like the way that I look at it is like, say, Foodstuffs own and operate Foursquare, New World, Pack and Save, and I kind of like see like Foursquare is like provincial rugby, New World is like super rugby, and like Pack and Save maybe get there like you made the All Blacks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I need to get into the Mitre 10. I need to get into the Foursquare game first, and obviously you get days off the supermarket, and would like a bit more balance.
I haven't fully figured out my journey after rugby, but I know one of the things that is just so easily transferable is how much time we spend and energy we spend on culture in teams. And then you go into the business world, and what does every business want? Like, we want a great culture. But a lot of them, I feel, don't know how to get there. Yeah. You know, it's more than just putting a barbecue on once a month or the classic Domino's pizza shout. You know, that doesn't create a great culture. But, you know, those are some of the real transferable things I've felt from rugby is knowing how to bring humor into the team, knowing how to have fun at work, but knowing also how to drive standards at work, you know? So if we were to sit down with an athlete finishing up soon like yourself, you talked about chatting to people that have done it before you. You talked about the humility to start again. What else would you be saying to that person who's about to take that leap of faith after sport?
Like, trust yourself or back yourself. Like, do it.
I agree. I mean, part of me wanting to do this little potty series and stuff is like, I feel like there's plenty of success stories out there, which is awesome. But unfortunately, there's equally enough of us sort of finishing and feeling a little bit lost. And I even chatted to two ex-footy players the other day. Both of them had, you know, degrees after, you know, so when they finished, and they both had to finish earlier than they wanted to, like most of us, you know, they knew exactly what they were going into, which was in their, you know, their study. But both of them said to me, even then, it's been hard to find the same passion or the same enjoyment for, you know, what they're up to.
Yeah.
It's cool to see that you've found a couple of things now that like you're excited about, you know, which is really cool.
Yeah, for me, man, I want to make this chapter like better than the rugby chapter. And the rugby chapter, man, for me, I think just about did everything I wanted to, apart from, say, making the All Blacks. But other than that, man, I played with All Blacks. I played against some greats. But man, I always thought it doesn't end here. Like, this next chapter, why can't it be better?
Dude, I love that mindset.
I remember my dad, I don't care what the coach says. Do a cross kick, or, you know, like when I was young, it was always like, take that risk. And you know, what we keep saying, there's so much from rugby or from sport that carries over to life after, or it carries over to everything. Your whole mindset of how you do everything. I always see the saying, like, how you do anything is how you do everything. And it kind of like really does fit with a lot of the things I see myself doing. Yeah, but and keep learning, eh? Once you start learning, like the supermarket thing for me just really boosted up my energy and whole aura, because I was like back to learning again. Even though it was scary to start again, I was like, man, I feel good. Like, I'm learning.
Did you have that when you were learning another language?
Yeah, I loved it, eh? I was like, yes, I can speak French.
I started to learn Italian, and then I started to play better. Yeah. It's almost like it opened up pathways in the brain, like you're learning. You know, you're soaking everything in. Your attention to detail is almost higher, eh? So
exactly. Yeah.
Beauty, man. Bro, appreciate you jumping on. I don't think I know that will encourage others. And bro, excited to maybe catch up in 5 years at the Foursquare.
Hopefully, man. No, pleasure, man. Thank you for having me on.
Cheers, bro.